reality is a product of your mind. So if you are telling me your reality, then that's just your perspective on this life. And if I'm telling my reality to you, as I'm currently doing, and telling my ways of thinking, then I'm telling my reality to you. So that's a product of my own mind. So by changing your perspective, you can actually change your mind and you can change your life. And changing your perspective is a little bit like, okay, how do I actually do that and what does that mean? And I will tell you, changing your perspective may sound like a bit vague. Like, what do you even mean with changing your perspective, and how can I even do that? I think I can best use an example for changing my perspective. And I think a good example is me currently sitting here. I'm actually more intentional about my hours. I'm actually more intentional about how I spend my day. I'm more intentional about what do I actually want to do. And how I got to this perspective had something to do with this. I got into an accident, and that made me realize, okay, now I actually have to slow down, because after work, I have a hard time going to the gym right now. I have a hard time taking dance lessons right now. I have a hard time, like, standing in the kitchen for 2 hours. So I have a lot of time left, and that changed my perspective, because normally I think a lot of people would be in the first assumption of when an accident happens or something tremendously big happens to them, they would be like, oh, why does it happen to me? Why does it have to be me? Like, oh, I'm always in bad luck. That's are like narratives that are, I think, very common in our society nowadays. But when I actually talked to a friend of mine, and this friend of mine, I totally love her, she told me about the kind of like, okay, you can also change your perspective, because the reason that you had this accident was maybe the universe telling you, okay, you actually have good management skills. So it was like changing. So what I had to realize is I could either think in like the simple way, of why does this always happen to me? Or I can think in a way, okay, it actually proved on the management skills that I had. It actually proved that now I have the time to think about what I actually want with my life. And those changes in perspective makes actually room for more positivity. Because the first thought pattern is very negatively associated, because if I was in the position of just saying, oh, why does it has to happen to me? Then I wouldn't look at the options that are available now for me to do. Look, of course, I think it sucks that I can't go to the gym and that I can't work out, or at least I can, but I'll tell you about it more. But of course that sucks that I'm not as mobile as I used to be. But what doesn't suck is that I actually am confronted with myself these days. Because there are a lot of people, like a lot of wise people, who told me, Senna, you need to meditate. You need to meditate because there's a lot going on in your mind. And because there's a lot going on in my mind, I constantly forget to meditate. While I know, and the people that, like my spiritual advisor, like an old friend of mine, and she's very wise, knows I need to meditate. I need to meditate to actually slow my mind down. So what I'm trying to do now is I've changed my perspective. I'm looking at the way like, okay, how am I designing my life at this moment? How am I structuring my day? And I'm structuring my day, of course, a bit different now because of this accident. But I'm making the conscious decision to actually be positive about what happened to me instead of looking at the negative, because now I can actually make time to meditate every day, and we'll see where it takes me. We'll see what changes in my mind and what changes into my perspective, and when my perspective changes, also my life changes. So we'll see how this small and tiny thing will change my life. And I'm not saying like this was a traumatic experience or something like that, but what I am saying is for every experience, big or small, it can lead to tremendous changes when you change your perspective on certain things. And I think like that's really important. Changing your perspective can actually change your mind because you're a product of your own mind. Thank you for watching.